Fallout Equestria Survivors Guilds, Chapter 9, Part 3. The next morning we all met up again for breakfast. We didn't have a lot of time before Silver and Clear had to go, so we had to talk fast and quietly in order to formulate our plan.
Okay, so the Overmare usually takes rounds around the stable at 1400.
Cherry said quietly.
She likes to do a sort of daily inspection to make sure that everything is running smoothly in the stable. So, if we can get Pimento to help us get into the office, I can get access to the Overmare's terminal,
I continued.
So, our best bet is to use the escape tunnel in the office, and it'll take us right to the stable door, but it will be guarded. Which is why I come in.
Silver picked up.
Our weapons are locked up in the security wing. Because of the Enclave presence, things are a bit lax in there, so I should be able to get the weapons in there and meet you at the stable door with clear skies. And I can get the door to the office jammed, so it'll take, well, hours to get through.
Ark finished.
So, we'll just have to hope this works.
I finished and looked at the map of the stable in my pip book. This was gonna be a dangerous operation, but we could pull it off if we all worked together. The first major obstacle was gonna be managing to get Pimento to help us, but if what he told me the night before was any indication, that should be easy. We just had to make sure that we laid low for the next few hours.
Clear, are you gonna be okay to go to class for a little longer?
I asked the filly.
Oh, yeah, I'll be fine. Don't worry about me.
Clear said with a smile.
Besides, this is nothing compared to being on the run from the Marauder gang. I'm really gonna have to ask you to what your story is someday.
Ark said with a chuckle as the bounty hunter and her daughter got up.
Believe me, it's quite the story.
Silver said with a smirk as she ruffled the filly's mane.
Don't worry about us, we'll be fine. We've survived way worse than this. Okay, but still, just be careful,
I said, and they nodded before heading out of the common area where we were meeting.
I hope this works. We've got a lot of variables out of our control in this plan. It'll work,
Cherry said, and Ark nodded. I nodded. It was worth a try at least. We just had to hope that we could make it to the stable door without much problems. This was going to be one of the trickiest things I ever had to do, and I wasn't about to just give it up because it was hard. I looked at Cherry and then at Ark. We weren't just friends, the three of us, we had become more like a family. And I smiled a little. It reminded me so much of the Crusaders back before the war, always trying to get in or out of trouble just to reach our goal. Even after the war began, and we started building the stables, we had a bond that couldn't be broken easily, even by time or the apocalypse. Still, I miss them so much, but it wasn't the time to dwell on that right now. Right now was the time for action as we prepared to escape Stable 48.
Come on, we still have a few hours to prepare, let's get going,
I said, and we headed out of the saloon.
It's amazing this place is still standing,
Ark commented as we went past another damaged section of the stable.
I almost wish I could stay, and almost wish that I can help with the maintenance on this place. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon,
I said.
Besides, it'll be fine. This place does at least have a good maintenance team. Yeah, there is that,
Ark said as we rounded another corner. We were in the lowest levels of the stable looking for the tools we were gonna need in order to do this job.
Are you sure we're going the right way to get where she's working? Yeah, are you sure this mare will be able to help us?
I asked Cherry, who was leading the way.
Oh yeah, Tinker's a good pony,
Cherry said.
She tends to be a regular for me. Well, tended to be before I left, I mean. She kinda owes me and isn't very fond of the system either. Let me guess, she got picked for the breeding cycle too and isn't into stallions,
I asked. And wow, I really didn't think this particular experiment through very well, did I?
3 years in a row,
Cherry said with a shake of her head.
Her foals wound up in medical and breeding, so she doesn't even get to see them, except on the occasions when she goes there. You sure know a lot about the ponies in the stable,
Ark commented.
Yeah, it's part of the job. We're half breeder and half therapist,
Cherry said, and she looked back at us.
Sometimes they don't even want sex, they just want some pony to talk to who isn't in their own division.
Wow, I didn't even think of that. That was actually an interesting point. Therapy was technically supposed to fall under medical, but hey, if it works for them. I almost wish that there was some way I could just shut this whole experiment down and let them live like normal ponies, but they had lived their entire lives like this. I just had a hope that more ponies would decide they didn't want to live under the system anymore. I couldn't impose my will on the stable, or, well, again, or I would be no better than the Enclave was.
Okay, she's just up ahead. Let me go talk to her alone.
Cherry said as we came to a stop and she walked around the corner to go talk to Tinker.
So, how far did you two get last night?
Ark asked with a smirk and she looked at me.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I said, blushing deeply.
We just spent the night in bed together, because...
Oh, dear Celestia, I just told Ark I slept in the same bed as Cherry. I was never gonna live this down now.
Oh, really? You two slept together?
Ark asked with a smile.
So, how was she in bed? I mean, she's been trained from fullhood to... We didn't do anything like that!
I protested as my face turned warm.
She's just been through a lot lately, and it helps her sleep and be comfortable. Don't read too much into it. We just held each other, I swear. Okay. You don't have to be like that.
Ark said with a chuckle.
Really, I think you two would make a cute couple, and you clearly care about her.
I blushed at that. She wasn't wrong, but I hadn't really thought about being more than friends with Cherry, except when Ark's teasing made me think about it. She was smart, funny, caring, and she didn't care about what I had done in the past. I almost wanted to consider it, but I wasn't sure if I was ready for another relationship. Before we could dwell on it further, Cherry came around the corner with a unicorn mare with white fur and a light gray mane and tail with a cutie mark of a wrench. She was levitating a toolkit and gave us a nod.
Here, this should be everything you need,
she said, and levitated the tools over to Arclight, who put them in her saddlebags.
Do you know what you're doing? Yeah, I'll be fine.
Tinker looked between the three of us for a moment before sighing.
I wish I could go with you, but things aren't that easy for me.
I paused for a moment. I couldn't exactly guarantee the safety of all the ponies that wanted to escape from Stable 48. Could I? I noticed that Tinker had the same bulge Cherry did, another expectant mother that was trapped in a system that I had created.
Tinker, if you can make it to the stable door at 1400 hours, we'll help you in your full escape,
I finally said.
I can't guarantee that you'll make it out, but I promise we'll at least try our best to help you do so. Just don't go telling every pony. We need to keep this a secret if we want to make it out of here.
Tinker smiled a little and looked at Cherry.
You're right. She is a good one. She certainly is. Alright, I'll be there,
Tinker said with a smile before heading off towards where she had come from.
So, are you sure we can get another pony out of here?
Ark whispered as we started back up the stairs.
I hope so,
I answered.
Just as long as she doesn't go crazy. We're already taking a big risk on this alone.
You're kidding, right? You actually want to escape this place today? Pimento asked as we outlined our plan to make it out of the stable. That's crazy.
We don't have much of a choice. The NCR needs to know what's going on here,
I said with a shake of my head.
The Enclave isn't just a problem here. They're threatening ponies everywhere. If the Republic knows what's going on, we might be able to stop it from happening in another stable or settlement.
I see what you mean, Pimento said with a sigh. Well, alright, I'll help you, but I'm going with you.
Oh, great. Does any pony not want to come with us?
Ark said with a groan as she face-hugged.
Are we just gonna take the entire stable with us? Let's try not to, please,
I said with a groan. Knowing my luck, we'd probably have to.
We don't want to jinx it. So, are you gonna be able to get us into your mother's office?
Don't worry about it. I've been sneaking into her office since I was a colt, Pimento said with a smirk. Don't worry, getting into the office is the easy part.
Thank you, Pimento. This really does mean a lot to us,
Cherry said with a smile as I checked the time on my pip book. It was almost time.
Your mother is gonna be on a tour for the stable like usual, right?
You're welcome. And yes, she should be, Pimento said as he looked at me for a moment. I know what the Enclave has told us about you, Scootaloo. They call you a traitor because of what you did in the past, what you did with the stables, like 48. I just have one question. Why?
To save lives. To give Equestria the best chance that I could,
I said with a sigh. I expected that this wasn't the last time I'd have to explain it.
Each stable Well, it was supposed to provide the best opportunity possible to learn from the mistakes of the past, and sometimes it feels like I just kept making new ones.
Alright. Well, that's good enough for me, Pimento said as he opened the door and checked outside. Come on. The Enclave is on guard rotation. Let's get going. We nodded and headed out of the room after him. True to his word, the door was easy enough to unlock while the guards were away, so we slipped in unnoticed. While Arclight started on the door, I walked over to the terminal and started working. I don't know what the password is, Pimento said as I kept typing.
It's okay. I have the master password for all stable terminals,
I said as I typed my password into the terminal.
Alright. Let's see.
I glanced at the others. Cherry and Pimento were at the window looking out of the stable to keep watch as Art continued to work. I focused back on the terminal and input commands to access the code. Stable 48 was important for another reason. I had to make sure that this wasn't compromised, especially with the fact that Winter Breeze had been here. If this fell into the wrong hooves... Time since last access, 2 months and 14 days. Horse apples, that was not what I wanted to learn at all. That was too recent to be anything other than while the Enclave was here.
Scootaloo, Lilac is coming,
Cherry said.
I thought we had more time,
I said.
I guess not. Are you any closer to getting us out of here?
Cherry asked.
Almost,
I said as I turned my attention back to the terminal screen. I was trying not to look more afraid than I felt. Failsafe protocol active. Protocol Zeta offline. Key not present. No. No, how could she have known about the key and how to access it? What was going on?
Pimento, what did Winterbreeze want here?
I asked and I looked at the stallion. I don't know. She connected to the terminal and downloaded some program into a Pip-Book. I swear, that's all I know. Crap. That meant that she had one of the keys, and that was a major problem. However, as long as she didn't have all 6 of them and couldn't access Protocol Zeta, she wouldn't be able to use it. Okay, I needed to stop freaking out so much. Everything was gonna be okay. This was probably just a fluke. I went back into the terminal and re-accessed to the main menu, and I selected the option to open up the tunnel, and the desk slid open, revealing a passage.
Come on, let's get out of here,
I said as the banging of the door began and we headed down into the passage, closing it behind us. The passage was eerily quiet as we headed towards the door to the other end. A million thoughts were going through my mind right now, and none of them were particularly good. Something about all of this felt weird. Winter Breeze's behavior wasn't quite what I expected out of the Enclave's leader. If she had come to Stable 48 looking for the key, then she had exactly what she needed. So why did she leave soldiers in the stable in order to help? It almost seemed like the Enclave was acting differently somehow. Sure, they were aggressive, but it seemed like they were doing something more than just moving in and killing any pony that got in their way. Then, was Stable 48 the exception or the rule? Something about all of this felt weird, and I wasn't sure I liked it. Especially if the Enclave actually was being somewhat honest. I had no idea, but honestly, I was scared either way. If the Enclave was changing, they were going to be unpredictable.
Okay, if we time this right, Silver, Clear, and Tinker will be on the other side of this door,
I said as we reached the door on the other end of the corridor and opened it up. And we found ourselves in the middle of a firefight, me and my big muzzle.
Well, nice to see your part of the plan is going so well,
I said sarcastically as Silver passed us our weapons and we moved behind the rough cover she had made.
This isn't the time for sarcasm, Scootaloo,
Silver said with a groan as she levitated her rifle over the barrier and shot at the Enclave soldiers.
Hey, Maintenance Pony, what's the door looking like? This'll take a minute. I've never tried to open one of these things before.
Tinker shouted from behind the console where she was working at her Pip-Book furiously. I positioned one of my rifles and shot at the Enclave soldiers. At least they weren't sending stable security after us, and that was a good sign. I noticed that there were 2 dead soldiers, and they must have been the guards that had to be taken out, which of course alerted the rest to their presence. I kept firing, taking out another soldier as I did. I just had to hope that Tinker would be able to open it up quickly. I ducked out of the way of another energy shot and passed one of my rifles over to Cherry.
You're kidding, right?
She asked.
You're gonna have to use it eventually,
I said as I took another shot at the Enclave soldiers.
It'll be okay, just point and shoot.
Cherry nodded and lined up a shot, taking out one of the soldiers with a headshot. The Enclave were starting to pull back a little at this point. Then there was the sound of metal scraping against metal as the door opened up behind us.
I've got it! Come on!
Tinker called out as we kept firing at the Enclave soldiers and back through the gear-shaped door. I hit a button on the outside console and the door shut just as soon as it had opened. We had made it out, alive.